What do we have here? Wolfstreet.com. Wolf Richter, what is going on here? U.S. gross national debt, GDP, or not GDP, GND. GNR? No. Guns N' Roses? No. GND. Gross national debt. Jumps $750 billion. $723 billion in just 12 weeks. But don't worry, Yellen and Friends has a plan to unwind the balance sheet. Wait till we get to this time next year in October. Why? Because they're going to up it to $120 billion unwinding every month. Down or up from our $10 billion currently that they're struggling with. And here's the proof. $723 billion added in just 12 weeks. Which is what? 3 months. But only a few lost souls in Congress care. Even as lawmakers are trying to cobble together a tax cut bill that would cut revenues by $1.5 trillion over 10 years, the gross national debt has spiked $723 billion over the last 12 weeks since Congress suspended the debt ceiling. It just hit $20.57 trillion, or 105% of GDP. Now, I've got a problem with this, because this is not the first time I've told people about the threshold of point of no return being when GDP, debt to GDP, whatever, becomes 100%, when debt is 100% of GDP, that's the point of no return, okay? Problem is, I can remember at least 2 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, to be honest with you, where I saw data that showed we were already there. So now we're at 105? Are we sure? Over the past 6 years, since November 2011, the gross national debt has surged nearly 40%, or by $5.8 trillion. Back in 2011, gross national debt amounted to 95% of GDP. Before the financial crisis, it was 63% of GDP. There are no signs that the relentless rise in the debt is slowing down. On the contrary, the tax cuts are going to steepen the curve, as a matter of fact. In the chart above, which I'll share it with you. I don't know if you really want to see this one. This one's kind of scary looking. Note the last 3 debt ceiling fights. The flat lines in 2013, 15, and 17, followed each time by an enormous spike when the debt ceiling was lifted or suspended, and when the extraordinary measures with which the Treasury keeps the government afloat were reversed. Same story, different year. And the Fed is getting increasingly nervous about the sustainability of this debt. There are only a few lawmakers left in Congress that have a sense of fiscal responsibility. One of the lost souls is Senator Bob Corker, a Republican from Tennessee, who, to address his anxieties about the deficit and the debt, wants to add a provision to the tax cut bill that would raise taxes automatically if the economy doesn't hit certain growth targets in the future. This trigger is designed to slow by a smidgen the relentless, if the relentless rise of, is designed to slow by a smidgen the relentless rise of the national debt. He has come under withering criticism for it from Republican lawmakers and conservative lobbying groups. Fitch Ratings believes that under a realistic scenario of tax cuts and macro conditions, the U.S. gross national debt will balloon to 120% of GDP by 2027. The way things are right now, this is likely an impossibly rosy scenario. So on Wednesday, Fed Chair Janet Yellen, was that Clockwork Orange movie? Was that the one? Damn it, Janet. Damn it, Janet Yellen was telling Congress about the economy, its challenges, and the disappointingly slow recovery since the recession. And when she was asked about this trigger, she said that it was up to Congress to decide how to confront the fiscal outlook, but added that she was worried about the sustainability of the U.S. debt trajectory. The idea of triggers is motivated by the concern that some have over the picture we have of debt sustainability now and into the future. And I would simply say I am very worried about the sustainability of the U.S. debt trajectory. That was her comments. Future of the deficit and the debt trajectory should be a very significant concern, she said. And on Monday, Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan had chimed in about the unsustainability of the trajectory of the national debt, further complicating his assessment. In addition to the $25.57 trillion in outright debt, there are also the unfunded entitlements, with a present value of approximately $49 trillion, he said. And he added, in my view, the projected path of U.S. government debt to GDP is unlikely to be sustainable and has been made to appear more manageable due to today's historically low interest rates, he said. Ah, yes, the admission. The Fed's interest rate policy has made the U.S. debt only appear more manageable because it brought down the cost of servicing this debt and removed an incentive for Congress to do anything about it. But when rates are rising as they are, even though it's at a turtle pace, the same time when the debt is ballooning as it is, this debt will start imposing an ever larger burden on the budget, and it will become less and less manageable. So here you have it. The trajectory of U.S. government debt is unsustainable, according to Yellen and Kaplan, as well as many others. In fact, just about everyone acknowledges this, except for the only people that can actually do something about it, the lawmakers in Congress. They don't even know the meaning of unsustainable. It's not part of their vocabulary. It has been replaced by fundraising and campaign contributions, and they're happier than ever to run up the debt. No holds barred. The Fed is increasingly pointing at excesses, distortions, and imbalances in the market. Read, stock market lazes happily on a powerful time bomb. Lazes? Okay, that's what he says. And the Fed begins to worry. Well, ain't nothing to see here. Everything will be fine. You hope so, which is why, again, I keep talking about these cryptos and stuff. Because if this kind of crap gets out of control, it has to end. Again, it doesn't just go away. It's got to end somehow. And usually the ending's not very pretty. That's why I'd love for you to be in a position to say, A, I have no debt. Oh my God, everything's paid off. Thank you, cryptos. I love it. Or B, a lot of my debt's paid off. I have very little debt. Thank you, cryptos again. But I still have some debt. But at least I'm not in everyone else's position where I'm dying. Massive debt burden on my back. Credit card, car payment, all this stuff. Oh my God. And that's why I do these videos. Especially the crypto ones is what I'm talking about mostly. So, till next time, take care.